What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is having a great evening so far. We are recording a very special episode tonight in honor of Miami, Florida State Week. Why not have the enemy on our show? Another perspective on the rivalry coming from Florida State side. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, man. We greatly appreciate the time you took out of your evening to come on the show.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. And I'm here with my co-host Ross. And man, I'm telling you, I'm starting to get really excited for the game on Saturday night. Before the Sunday, Monday, it's starting to hit me that we're actually playing. It's going down. Miami, Florida State, Saturday night on prime time television. Man, I cannot wait. Ross, how excited are you for this game?
Dude, I'm pumped, bro. I mean, this is the game I look out for every year, man. I mean, this is it for us. This is Miami and Florida State, dude. I mean, even if we're having down years, we know it's a game, man. We know it's a battle. These dudes they're not just gonna roll over for us, man. I know there's a lot of fans that are thinking that, we're going one way, Florida State's going another way right now, but I'm not gonna be surprised if Florida State comes out and tries to give us a battle, dude. I'm not gonna be shocked at all.
Daniel, what are your thoughts, about this game? I know it was a devastating loss to Georgia Tech. Florida State's in a tough position right now. Mike Norvell, he's not going to be coaching this game. They're going to have Chris Thompson as the interim head coach. So, there's been a lot of off-the-field events, a lot of players transferring. Where's the state of the program heading into this game?
I think it's way better than it has been the last 2 years. It was a tough loss last week, but the thing that I take from it is vastly improved, not making a lot of alignment mistakes, not shooting yourselves in the foot, left, right, center. It was a tough loss, but we were really improved in lots of areas, special teams. Way better in every facet of the game, in special teams, kick returns, punt returns. We weren't having holding on every single kick return or punt return. Punt game looked good, but you still gotta stop turning the ball over, and you need consistent quarterback play. And definitely in that game versus Georgia Tech, those were 3 turnovers, and
right
after Blackman threw his first pick, he in my opinion, lost his confidence and, threw 44% completion percentage the rest of the game, and for, had like 35 attempts for 130 yards. So it was just.
Is there any – I know Kenny Dillingham, Florida State's offensive coordinator, did state they are going to be using 4 different quarterbacks. Do you see another quarterback that may be playing – instead of James Blackman, maybe Jordan Travis, Chuba Purdy, if he's ready to go? Do you think this is James Blackman's game?
I think it is. I do see them putting Jordan Travis in for a couple possessions, probably similar to what they did against Georgia Tech. I mean, it's kind of sad that the backup quarterback had the most rushing yards against Georgia Tech, but he's a weapon there. But at the same time, he's not shown the ability to throw the ball. So if he goes out on the field, then Miami can stack the box and dare him to throw the ball, and he'd have to prove that he can. And outside of him doing it in spring game last year, he was, even when he was throwing the ball, it was all shorter passes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there with Purdy. He coming back from that broken collarbone, and I think he started practicing on Monday. I think that's definitely not really enough time, especially when you're going to be facing, Miami defense with that good rush. I think that wouldn't be a good idea. I could see them putting Purdy out there against Jacksonville State the week after, against a lesser opponent, and see what he can do. I've always been a big Blackman fan. I was not not happy with the way that he played after he threw that interception. I thought he played great before that, and kind of made me think back to that bowl game against Arizona State when he just seemed to lose his confidence, and then he just couldn't make a confident throw and just kept throwing picks and turning the ball over. So,
Ross, listen, let's break down this game. Is there any way you can see just James Blackman really dominating this football game, or Florida State offensively being effective? I mean, Miami defensively, they did give up a lot of yards, but to be fair, it was against a very good Louisville offense. Do you have any concerns with Miami's defense going up against Florida State's offense?
If that Florida State offensive line decides to put things together all of a sudden, yeah, I mean, a little more worry on that. I love our defensive line. I love our defensive ends. I think they're going to cause quite a bit of hell for Blackman back there, honestly. Like I said, unless that offensive line all of a sudden decides to come around, which, it's a rivalry game. Guys are motivated. Guys are picked up. They know almost all these guys know each other. They played against each other. So, I mean, chip on a shoulder, the whole thing going on there. If they're going to beat us, it's going to have to be through the air for the most part, I would think. I think that we're going to be able to do okay with them in the rush game. We are prone to giving up big plays here and there because we do kind of, I don't know how to put it, but we over-rush or overdo it sometimes. We're too aggressive, I guess you could say. They can work that against us, definitely. We've seen teams already do that. Louisville tried to do that against us early often, and it actually had a little success here and there too. So I'm sure that they've learned from that. FSU saw that we're going to be over-aggressive. That's how we play. We are over-aggressive on defense. We're going to come at you. It can backfire, though. If Blackman can stay clean in that pocket, our DBs haven't proven to me that we can consistently cover guys. We're giving guys way too much damn space out there, way too much space.
Zone defense.
If we've got time and we give them that same space we gave the Louisville receivers, we might have a little more problems on our hands.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. Speaking of wide receivers, Florida State has a very good player, Scary Terry, Tamarion Terry. They also have Deshaun Corbin, who had 8 receptions against Georgia Tech. They are losing DJ Matthews. He did enter the transfer portal. Daniel, how do you feel about this wide receiver group going into Miami's Florida State big game? Remember, Miami's secondary, specifically cornerbacks, are very, very slim in the depth chart. A lot of people say that is the weakest position unit at Miami. DJ Matthews gone. How do you feel about the wide receiver core matching up against Miami's cornerbacks?
I think it's going to be a good battle. I mean, Florida State's got a good – I mean, the thing is, it's right now it's potential. You got Terry, who's had a lot of starts, and then you have Warren Thompson, who has caught 7 balls in college, and then you got Keyshawn Helton, who is a very good dynamic slot receiver coming off that knee injury last year, but he was expecting a little bit more out of him against Georgia Tech. But I was hoping they were going to be able to get more open, get some more separation against the DBs. You know, part of that, Blackman did make a couple late throws. But you know, if I'm Miami, I'm going to be trying to skew some cover over to Terry, not allow him to beat you guys deep, because he's that home run threat.
Right, absolutely, and he's a very good player. Second team All ACC, 60 receptions, hell of a job this past season from Tamarion Terry. The key, I think, is getting to the quarterback. And that's the thing that Miami has the edge with, is their defensive line unit. Their defensive ends are very, very good. Florida State, they still have the same offensive line trouble that they had this past season. It's going to continue to happen. I think Gregory Rousseau actually had like 7 sacks against Florida State this past season. Luckily for Florida State, he will not be playing this game. He's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, but you still got to deal with Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips as well. Plus, Cam Williams did a very good job against Louisville. Ross, do you see any edge Florida State has on Miami at all in this game?
I mean, I have seen some moments from their defensive line. I mean, I'm not going to say that their defensive line is as good as ours right now, but I've seen some moments of actually some fairly dominant play from a hole from that defensive line on certain snaps. I went back and reviewed some of the footage, and there are moments in time where those guys can definitely cause problems, especially when Wilson's in there and stuff. I mean, they can cause some legit problems. Our offensive line is still, you know, even though we're not giving up the sacks and all that stuff, a lot of that is due to scheme. A lot of that's due to King avoiding sacks, getting the ball out early and fast and stuff. So I could see that defensive line, if they actually, you know, penetrate the offensive line from the first quarter on, that's going to cause some issues for us because it's going to throw off our game plan completely, I think.
Here's my thing, Daniel. I've never been high on Marvin Wilson. I don't get what the big deal is about. Physically, I mean, he's a big guy. He's huge. Yeah. He's massive. He looks like a grown man, an NFL player. But last year against Miami, Miami's offensive line last year was awful. He did nothing. Are you big on Marvin Wilson as well, or maybe you're not that big into his hype?
I thought he did a really good job last year, improving, you know, finally being a starter. I completely agree. He just disappeared against you guys last year, and he did show up against Georgia Tech. I think he might have had a tackle, but I was expecting him to be wrecking havoc in there. You know, there's lots of good depth at the defensive tackle, so you know, anytime he's out there on the field, he should be very fresh, and wasn't really seeing much push. The big thing with the defensive line and the new coaches is, you know, the defensive line is supposed to be attacking, and didn't see much push from the defensive tackle, even outside of Wilson. And you know, our defensive ends, you know, Robinson and Kendo, they have, you know, it's potential. They got great size. They're both 6'6", 6'7", 250, 260. But you know, Kane Dog got hurt in the second quarter last week, so you didn't get to see, you know, if he could do more. But it's all about getting pressure on King, and you know, the great thing about King, you put pressure on him and he gets out of it. He has the ability to, you know, make that throw down the field after allowing receivers to work on a DB for 4, 5, 6 seconds, or you can go and get a 20, 30, 40-yard run, if not, you know, a touchdown. So my biggest fear is that Florida State has had trouble against mobile quarterbacks, and my fear is that King is just going to have a monster game. I don't know if Florida State's going to try to do a spy, but if they are, you know, there's a couple young linebackers. They could probably try to throw out there to try to contain him, but I mean, that's a tall task for anybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really nice to hear from an opponent that, you know, D'Eriq King is this really good football player, because the quarterback position at Miami, I mean, it's really been up and down, and it's been a roller coaster ride for us. And it's been a long time since we've been looking for that kind of star player at the college football level. I mean, Ross, we see Florida State, they had E.J. Manuel, Jameis Winston, Christian Ponder. I mean, they didn't miss on quarterbacks. Even they had that transfer from Notre Dame as well. Can't think of his name right now, but he played for 1 year at Florida State. It was like rebuild and reload at that position. So finally, we get a chance to actually have a good quarterback. Definitely puts a smile on our faces as Miami fans. Daniel, is there any edge, any matchup that you think Florida State has the advantage over Miami in this game? I know Asante Samuels is a very good football player. Amari Gaynor as well on the defensive side of the football. He led the team in tackles against Georgia Tech as a sophomore. He's a very good player. Just any matchups that you're looking out for that you think Florida State has the edge on Miami?
I mean, as a whole, I do think, you know, when you're looking, including depth, I do think Florida State's defensive line has a little bit of an advantage on Miami's offensive line. But I would say, you know, pretty much anywhere else, you know, like I wouldn't be confident in saying that Florida State has an advantage. I mean, you know, it's funny, when I was watching pregame of the Miami Louisville game last week, you know, they were talking up the kicker transfer, and I'm like, man, they're talking him up. I mean, I know he was good last year, but then, you know, seeing him go out there and make those kicks that he did, you know, it's like kind of want to say, oh, well, Florida State, has maybe a little bit of advantage in special teams, but after seeing what your guys' kicker and punter did last week, can't say that we have an advantage there either. Another thing that I'm worried about is your guys' three-headed monster at running back.
No, definitely.
I mean, I guess maybe if you're gonna make me say another, second segment, I would say I'm confident in our cornerbacks going up against your guys' receivers.
Gotcha. No, I definitely. Here's the thing about our receivers. I mean, I think at tight ends we're very athletic. I think there's a lot of talent there. I mean, I feel like Brett Lashley has the most talented duo he's ever had at tight end he's ever coached. I could be wrong. I mean, I think that's what he would say. Wide receiver group, Ross, I think you would agree, man. I mean, it's very, very – we don't trust them. We really don't. I mean, Mark Pope literally dropped a ball that hit him in the chest. Hit him in the chest. I mean, there was no excuse at all. Was it Mike Harley that dropped literally just an easy touchdown pass? I mean – Daniel, I don't know if you watched the full game, but Miami could have easily put up 60 points. I mean, it was ridiculous. It really was. And plus, we gave up over 10 penalties. I mean, that was like literally 100 yards in the football game. Ross, how do you think our wide receivers will perform against a pretty solid cornerback in Asante Samuel, for example? I mean, Florida State, there's, parts of their secondary, it's very talented, coming out of high school. They do have talent. How do you think we will perform?
Well, it's definitely our wide receivers' biggest test so far. I mean, I would take the Florida State secondary over Louisville and UAB, no doubt about it, especially in terms of upside and potential. I flat out don't trust our wide receivers at all. I watched Harley drop two easy passes, and then to have the one dropped in the end zone wide open. I mean, that stuff just burns. Dude, it burns. It's the same exact issues he had last year. Harley can get open. He's proven it. He just got to hold onto the damn ball. I'd honestly, what I'd like to see a little bit more in this game, I'd like to see us look for Wiggins a little more, honestly. I think Wiggins could be kind of a little problem for them. I really do. I'm not sure how much Pope shows up in this game. He's going to get his snaps. He's going to get his tries. I really, truly have no freaking clue what Pope's going to do, but I think Wiggins is going to do all right, and that two-headed monster there at tight end, man, I'm not sure who's going to be able in the nation to truly contain them if we're running our offense how we really want to run our offense.
No, I definitely completely agree with you. I mean, Mark Pope, it's got to be to a point where I understand when he gets loose, like he can literally take off. He has that ability. You see it on punt returns. You see it after the catch. He can take off. He can go. But there's got to be a point, man, where it's like, hey, if you keep turning the ball over, if you keep dropping passes, you're not going to be involved in the offense. It's costing us, So I would like to see D. Wiggins more involved because he really hasn't been involved at all in the game plan, which is very surprising. I thought he would be a deep ball threat, no doubt about it. And we haven't even used him at all. We've been using Mike Harley a lot, which I don't really get. I think we should be using it for more drags and screen routes. But, hey, it is what it is. It's Brett Lashley. You got to respect his game plan. Daniel, what are the keys to the game for Florida State to succeed in this football game?
Well, key number one is going to be Blackman getting the ball out early. You can't be holding the ball against your guys' defensive line. You could say about almost any game that's played out there is, don't turn the ball over. You have to win the turnover margin. You guys have been so good about getting turnovers. We really need to win the turnover margin if we're gonna come close to or winning the game. I think Florida State. I was really impressed with the special teams. Maybe it was just because it was so terrible the last 4 or 5 years prior to that. But special teams played great. So if we can make a dent with our special teams, get consistent play at quarterback, probably something similar to you guys are thinking with your team. If our receivers can catch the damn ball and not drop the passes, that's definitely going to help. Key to the game is going to be trying to contain King. I remember watching him at Houston 2 years ago, and I mean, granted, it was a lesser conference, and the team, teams you're playing were not, not Power Five, but there wasn't anybody that could even come close to containing him. I do think, trying to contain him and putting pressure on him and trying to contain him is gonna be the key to the biggest key of the game.
Hey Danny, I got a question for you. With Norvell around, are you guys starting to use your tight ends more in the offense at all?
Yes, he normally his offense does use tight ends a lot. Probably not as much as you guys. You guys have more talent at tight end. Makes me another key to the game is going to be, well, who's going to cover you guys? Who's going to cover Brevin? I mean that's tough. So the only person I can really think of that at safety that's going to be able to do that, it's probably going to be redshirt freshman Travis J. One of my favorite players on the team. He's also going to be returning kicks. So he's played in one college game so far, but he's going to be a very important part of this game as well.
Who's a tight end for Canes fans to be looking out for in this game for you guys? Because honestly, we don't get to see them featured very often when you play us. So who should we be looking out for?
Cameron McDonald. So he played high school ball in California. He's like 6'4", 235. He was receiving tight end in high school. Not much of a blocker that's coming around. He had a great catch to set up the touchdown early against Georgia Tech. But kind of like the rest of the offense, kind of disappeared the rest of the game. Nothing to his own fault though.
Ross, what are the keys to the game for Miami to succeed?
Miami comes out and plays Miami football. We're going to be okay. This new system with Lashley, I think the tempo is going to really give Florida State a hard time. I watched that team. I started noticing about the 6-minute mark in the third quarter, some of those boys on the line were looking gassed. They were looking flat out gassed. Georgia Tech was able to push them back, get them on their heels, open up running lanes, get to the outside. I mean, Florida State's bigger, faster, stronger, and Georgia Tech was still able to get to the outside. So it showed to me that if we stick with this tempo, and the tempo actually, we're hitting our passes like normal and consistent, I think it's going to be a hell of a time for Florida State to stay in this, man. I don't know if they're quite the stamina from the whole team. I don't know if it's quite there on defense. I really don't yet.
Yeah, no, look, Miami, in my opinion, to be successful in this game has to win the turnover battle. They cannot let teams hang around in this game. I felt like against against Louisville, they were hanging around a lot. If Miami did not answer with that Cam Harris 75-yard run, that Jalen Knight wide open pass, the Brevin Jordan wide open pass, I feel like it could have been a different game, a much closer game. So Miami did answer 3 times when they needed to. So Miami's got to, get Florida State out of the game early. Be aggressive on offense. I think the up-tempo offense is going to be great. Create a disarray, my opinion, for Florida State right now. Changing quarterbacks, not having your head coach there, having a new head coach. There's a lot of turmoil in the locker room. Daniel, do you think right now it is a divided locker room at Florida State, or it's a pretty united team overall?
I think it's a pretty united team. I really think, granted, Norvell's not going to be there, but, I really think all the coaches really got, the guys in there. There was some turmoil in the offseason, but I do think that brought the team closer together. I did read some things. They did do some things in the offseason that I was really impressed with, and got the teammates really, going to battle with their brothers, as opposed to, trying to, play a good game so that, they could, so the scouts would notice them, and then, they could go on to the NFL. It's a broken record, that, definitely offensive line has had its issues. It was kind of interesting last week, 2 weeks ago against Georgia Tech, that their pass protection was actually pretty good, but their run blocking was pretty terrible. So if, we can't, it was nice to see the better pass protection, but you got to be able to run the ball against, if you're going to have success, you're going to have to be able to run the ball. And if we have any chance, definitely going to need to be able to step up the game in that department.
Do you think anybody on Florida State, specifically in the running back core, can have some success against Miami's defensive line?
I've always liked Jayshon Corbin. Do you think he's stud? I mean, he's 6 foot, 220 pounds. He's got speed. Didn't really have any that impressive runs against Georgia Tech. We have a JUCO transfer, Ladanian Webb. Short little guy, kind of reminds me of the way that he runs is kind of like Maurice Jones-Drew in regards to stature when using college, kind of like a little bowling ball. He ran the ball a couple times pretty good, but I just got to be more consistent. You can have the best running back in the world, and if you don't have an offensive line to block, there's only so many Cam Akers out there or Dalvin Cooks out there to mask those things. And,
do you think it's going to?
We don't have one of those two guys this year.
Right. You think it's going to be a committee approach at running back, or do you think there's going to be a lead back that kind of takes over for Florida State?
I kind of think it's going to be. I kind of think of Corbin as the lead back, but I think Webb definitely had more carries than him. Corbin seemed to be more the receiving threat out of the backfield. I mean, I think it's just basically going to be them two. I could definitely see against Jacksonville State, us throwing somebody else out there, Lawrence Toffoli, the true freshman, maybe getting some reps, or Corey Wren, a speedster, or Ja'Kai Douglas. Both those two are freshmen, but I don't. I see it being a little early to be throwing them into a big spot in a rivalry game.
Do you think that that Blackman? I mean, is this the type of game? I don't know. Have you seen any of the secondary? Have you seen how much space we're giving up at Miami? I mean,
I did watch both games this year.
Is this the type of game where where you've got the rivalry, you've got the chip on your shoulder? Has Blackman shown you anything to where he could actually take his game to another level in a game like this and actually come out and just show the world something maybe we haven't seen yet?
He's had some pretty good games. I mean, like I said, before he threw that pick against Georgia Tech, I thought he played really well. Got the ball out quick. It just kind of like it seemed to break his confidence because he had open receivers. He had some two big opportunities with open receivers, and he like double pumped, just double clutched it a little bit, just threw it late, and then wasn't on time with it. So I've seen him play a couple of good games. He had a really good game against NC State when Francois was hurt a couple years ago. But I definitely think, and he has a chance to do that. Right now he is one of the more maligned quarterbacks that has been at Florida State, and I think part of that is probably because, like Paul was saying, we're a little been a little spoiled the last decade in that regard, so we have some pretty high expectations. But he's a starting quarterback, so I want him to go out there and impress some people.
Do you think, and I remember you made a comment about this earlier about having a possible spy on King at linebacker. Is there anybody else? Now, I haven't had a great chance. When I watched your guys' footage, I focused a lot more on the defensive line. I didn't pay attention to the linebackers very much. Is there any linebackers that are standing out to you that could really make an impact against Miami?
Amari Gaynor, in my opinion, was by far him and Asante Samuel were the best players. Gaynor had some flashy, got in the backfield. Always been a really big fan of his. He's got really good speed. So yeah, Amari Gaynor. Emmett Rice. He was, he played high school ball down in Miami. He second on the team in tackles last year. He's gonna get a lot of playing time. And I'd like to see what Jaleel McRae or Steven Dix can do. They're young linebackers. They're athletic. Especially with athletic going up against an athletic quarterback and athletic tight ends. The more athleticism you have out there, might want to take a chance. Lack of experience, but get that athleticism out there and do that. I already said his name once, but I'm super impressed with Travis Jay. Sometimes, especially being a younger player, it's a tough position at safety to make some flash plays, but going to have the opportunity to do that. And well, it'll be interesting to see if we get Hamza Nasruddin back from injury. It's probably going to be a game time decision. If he's out there on the field, he's a
You really high on him?
big impact. Yeah, real big impact player. So I feel
Awesome,
like,
man.
yeah.
Awesome. Those were the questions that stuck out to me the most. Is there any you got left there, Paul?
I don't really have any left. The only question I do have left, Daniel, what is your score prediction? Miami, Florida State, Saturday night. One of the biggest rivalries in college football history. People compare it to Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma. It's Miami, Florida State. What else can I say? At the end of the day, it's bigger than Florida State, Florida. That's just my opinion. But Daniel, what do you got for us, man? What's your score prediction? It's okay not to be biased. If you want to be biased, Homer, hey, more power to you, man.
I'm going to go look at it from more of a realistic standpoint. My prediction is going to be Miami 34, Florida State 24. It's a possibility. It's why they play the games. But
right. Listen, Daniel, I respect that. I mean, to be honest, man, if Florida State wins this football game, I'll straight up say this: like Miami was not prepared. They were thinking about next week. Manny Diaz failed this program because you how do you lose to a team that is switching back and forth with quarterbacks, doesn't even have their head coach in attendance? You get what I mean, Daniel. I mean, Miami clearly is the favorite. Like, I'm just saying, for anyone betting with Vegas right now, I mean, like, take the spread. You can't mess this game up. I would be completely shocked if Miami loses. It would be a failed preparation to the game on Manny Diaz. It would be a complete failure, and I think it would be a complete step back for the program as well. So, Daniel, I completely respect your prediction. And no doubt about it. I mean, Miami is the clear favorite in this game. The spread is 11.5 going to Miami on DraftKings. I think ESPN has us at 9.5. Ross, what's your prediction?
On the last stream, I think I was at something about like 42-17 with them scoring the late garbage time touchdown. I'm sticking with it, bro. I'm sticking with what I said earlier. 42-17, late garbage time touchdown for Florida State. I want us, Danny, I love you, brother, but we're looking to smash your guys' ass, bro.
Well,
would expect no less.
I got 27-7. A lot of people were saying, Paul, why the conservative score? I think you may see in the first half, Miami may not be prepared. Maybe they didn't expect that much fire from Florida State. This kind of reminds me of Florida versus Miami in 06-07 when Randy Shannon made his debut second game of the week against Urban Meyer. That was a little bit of a dogfight going into the third quarter. We may see that, but Miami's in complete control, and then they slowly get ahead. But, no doubt about it. I mean, Florida State, they still need an identity at the quarterback position. I think Mike Norvell is going to go with the true freshman Chuba Purdy, and that's going to be the introduction of the Mike Norvell era. We see that a lot with new head coaches. They tentatively go with true freshman quarterbacks to kind of create that identity of the guys they recruited. Like, this is my culture at this football program. You guys were recruited by the other coach. Well, I'm going with my guys. Usually we see that when the ship is kind of sinking. I'm not saying the ship is sinking at Florida State, but I think the panic button is near. No doubt about it. I think Mike Norvell is a good football coach. He proved success at Memphis, and I think Chuba Purdy can be a good college quarterback as well. But would love to see him in action against Miami, and I hope he has a speedy and safe recovery as well. Jordan Travis, great athlete. I just don't think he's a great passer, to be honest with you. Great running quarterback. I think he's very good at
great big play capability.
Yeah, he's a good running quarterback. He's a good athlete. Good athlete at the Power 5 level. That's how I rate him. But Daniel, man, it was a pleasure to have you on. You were very informative. And thank you so much, man, once again, for taking time out of your evening to come on, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, Daniel. Ross, it was a pleasure. And always, guys, all about the U. Let's make it 4 straight in a row. Saturday night prime time. Love it. Take care, guys.
All right.
Later, man.
Later.